can be only one. And it definitely raised a lot of talk, and I want to discuss it.
Yep.
So we'll go over. Unfortunately, nobody here won, but Zoe Renee did get second place. Kudos.
Ooh, thank you.
And then Devin killed. Absolutely. But there were only 3 people that placed, and the way I set it up to keep myself from being hated by everybody in the comedy community, because I still have to book people, is I set up a panel of judges. That way, I'm absolved of it. I host it, I lend it out, and I offer more than most competitions. Most competitions give you a cash prize. I give you headshots, I give you a logo made, physical merch made, a website made, an online storefront, and I give you a future headlining spot. And I try and do as much as I can for the comedy community, because that's what you're supposed to do. But you're never going to please everybody. And, you know.
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Okay, just honestly, just checking bases. You know what I mean? I don't want to give you more unnecessary.
Cunt. Yeah, but there are a lot of different perspectives in this. There's a perspective of the comics, there's the perspective of the venue, there's the perspective of the booker, and there's the perspective of the audience. And everybody has a different view in it. I know I have said multiple times that people compete at the bottom and they collaborate at the top. Now, what are y'all's thoughts? Is a comedy competition a downgrade from that, or is that just healthy competition to see where we're at?
You know, I went there, I didn't even think I was going to place. I came to perform. It was an opportunity to perform. That's what I came there to do. And I did treat it like it was a competition, so I wanted to deliver my smoothest set possible. It just so happened that it got second place, and I'm really, really proud of that because I gave it the effort for it. What I saw there was some amazing sets on stage. Like, Devin, you brought it. Like, that was one of your cleanest sets I've ever seen you do.
I appreciate it. Most of it was improv, unfortunately. I was angry at the audience because of just like what they were saying. But also credit where credit's due. That was hands down my favorite set you've ever done. I have seen you perform like 5-7 times easy.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, your timing was good, your delivery was good. There were a couple of jokes that I've seen in other sets that you kind of like meander around, that you like trim the fat on.
Yeah.
Which I do have some on like trimming fat of like the Yes Daddy one, but it was like that one hit so much better than I did
that
before.
One killed. Like, I've heard that joke multiple times. I still laughed.
Yeah, and I'm constantly, like I said, like I'm reworking stuff, and I tried with that competition to deliver my cleanest set, and even with that, I still forgot a joke. I stumbled over a couple of different things, and I had the stage fright, and the winner just seemed to have like a little bit of better flow. It was a lot smoother, and so like I'm like cool with that.
The winner had never performed there.
Yeah.
See, I think y'all were kind of at a disadvantage because y'all had performed there. People had seen y'all, people had heard y'all before. Mm-hmm. Whereas this person was brand new off the street, and they go up there and nobody really expected that much. And, well, that was some really, really dark humor.
Yeah.
My issue with all of that comes from the fact, though, that comedy is supposed to be evolving. And a lot of that was just shock comedy, which for me is the lowest hanging form of the art. I feel like I went to a music competition and I played like avant-garde jazz, and I lost to someone who did pop music. These jokes are exclusively for those who don't like want to think about comedy, because you know what? He would have did great in 2008. But why are you talking about jacking off on your sister in 2023? Like, that is purely just shock. And if you can't get a laugh, and it was all just set up, punchline, set up, punchline, set up, punchline.
I mean, that's a style, and we'll get more into that when we do our writing set. Like, I went down to Panama City, right? And, you know, I'm pretty long in the tooth. I've got my stuff. I did okay. Every other comic there, set up, punchline, just machine gun through their entire sets. I was the only outlier. And I didn't get as much laughs because of it.
Yeah, but then we start like leaning into what we expect from crowds as well. Because if people want to see better comedy and if they want things to get better, they have to hold comics to a higher standard. Because you know what? I could make a million fucking jokes and I will never be funnier than someone saying "sir" 3 times in increasing desperation. Sir, sir, sir. Like that is just, you like, I had nothing to it, you're giggling. Like, it's just one of those ones that, yeah, we could low hanging fruit all day, every day, but then what is at the end of it?
I mean, that's a shtick. There are some comics that do that, you know?
Yeah, but I thought we grew past Jeff Dunham. I thought we had gotten past this.
Oh, what?
Because he's going to send the puppets after us.
Probably. I mean, Ahmed would at least like me. He'd be like, "Oh, we look the same," and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm really skinny, guys. Sorry." But it's just, that was, you know what, Jeff Dunham, Carlos Mencia, these were huge names. Right?
No. Jeff Dunham at least comes up with original racist jokes. Carlos Mencia steals them.
Okay, you know what? Still the same low-hanging fruit. I'd rather take the apple from the top of the tree that I had to work to get, because you know what? There's something there, versus like picking up fruit off the ground.
Yeah, and I like what you said about shock comedy, because I like what Hunter S. Thompson said at the end of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He said it hit like a wave. It came in, crashed, and then pulled back. And that's kind of how comedy hits. Like, you were talking about 2008 when we had Daniel Tosh. We had all these shock comics just hitting us with just this ridiculous South Park level of just crazy shit, right? And that receded. And now we have this PC wave that is hit, and your jokes have to change. They have to evolve. You can't say certain words, you know? And that's kind of pulling back, I feel, because now we have Daniel Tosh releasing a new special. We have Anthony Jeselnik, and we have other comics that are just going against the grain of what was the normal culture a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad you name dropped Jeselnik, though, because that Daniel Tosh and Anthony Jeselnik were the same comedian when they started. They were both this like angry, kind of rich white, sort of making fun of everyone. I'm better than you. But the thing is Daniel Tosh, like, once again, low hanging fruit. It never really evolved, and that's why he had like Tosh.0, but then he fell off and hasn't released anything. Anthony Jeselnik has continued like releasing and performing. And,
oh yeah,
like if you want to talk about being edgy and pushing the bar, that's Jeselnik. Like,
Yeah.
do I think he's the funniest? No. Do I think he's the best at what he does? Unfortunately, like, I don't like the guy, but damn it, like, he's funny even though he's mean. Where a lot of times shock comedy is like, I'm relying on someone to be worried, and then you get that like guilt laugh, and that feels dirty. It's an unenthusiastic hand job.
True, and that's how I feel about like the DJ moves when you're on stage, when you leave the stage, when you get in somebody's face, when you just pick on somebody without asking permission, because as comics, consent's important.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you ask whoever you're talking to in the audience if it's okay. There are introverts that are not okay with it. And like, I have been to comedy shows where no one will sit in the front row. It is packed, but the first row is completely empty because people do that low-hanging fruit shit to the front row.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't pick on people just because they sat in the front row. Like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
But let's steer it back to the competition thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go at it from a comic perspective. How do you feel about comedy competition shows?
This was my first one that we just did. Like, I don't really have anything to gauge it off of as it being my first one. Like I said, I went into it as an opportunity to perform. I think there was certain people there that had some great attitudes, and I think there was some people there that had some really terrible attitudes about the whole thing. All right, so as far as crowd-wise goes, yeah, we had the drunk hecklers, because this is at a bar. That's a normal thing you're going to have to deal with no matter what.
When it comes to you mentioning
Bad attitudes.
Oh, bad attitudes. Okay.
Guys,
Now,
if it seems like we're slipping up, I got really chilly and had to go get a hoodie. Sorry, this is on me.
I'm going to edit.
This is for you later. You got pretty eyes.
So as far as bad attitudes from comics, a lot of them got mad at the placing, I guess, or the judging, because I guess the criteria was stated in the beginning, but I guess it wasn't, they didn't understand exactly how it was, or they didn't agree with who placed. I know walking back, during the discussions, everybody was like, hey, you're gonna win it. And I was like, you're all out of your fucking minds. Because I was like, there's no fucking way.
I was sweating your whole set. I was just like, I'm not even gonna place. Izzy's fucking killing it.
And because okay, so I went on first. I opened the whole show.
I opened the whole show.
I mean, okay.
Whoever opened the bar,
No. So I was the first performing comic or competing.
The first competitor.
Yeah.
I was hosting, so I definitely opened it up, warmed up the crowd a very little bit. But going first is always super difficult, and some people wear that as a badge of honor. Like Deo Delano will go up to Smith's old bar open mic and sign up first every time. And Smith's, if you haven't been there, I swear there are like 40 comics every open mic there.
God, that was my first time ever being the first comic up. So
random side tangent. If you guys, perfect world, you get to pick exactly when you go up. What's your number? Like for me, I want to be the third comic. That is, 3 is my lucky number. Every time I'm like 3rd or 13, I feel better. Do you guys have like a number you're like, I like to go later, I like to go earlier? Like,
preferably never. I have incredible stage fright. This is more like comedy is my therapy to get over my social anxiety. And I mean, it helps to a point, but yeah. No, first was terrifying. I don't know. After going on first, I really don't care.
Yeah, I go first, and my whole thing is follow that.
Oh, see, I love when people set me up with that, though, because you just made it a personal competition, and it's like, oh, well, I guess now I have a target.
Yeah. And that's kind of I don't know, I guess that's the mentality afterwards. After the dust has settled, after a couple of days, I'm like, well, now if I got to go first again, I'm just like, well, I'm going to bring everything I got to that and set the fucking pace.
Yeah, you definitely set the bar at that competition.
So,
I mean, it's like walking into a dark room. Yeah, it's freaky at first, but once you've done it, you turn on the light. Now it's just a room. Just another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, if you're at a competition and you don't win, be okay with it. You can't change it, and the only thing that's going to get remembered, other than who won and who lost, is how you respond to that news. If you are complaining to all of the judges, all of the bar staff, the host, and everybody at the bar, that's how you're going to get remembered, not for what you did on the stage.
Make sure if you complain, it's to people who know you personally, so they don't judge you for that. When I complain to the host because I lost, he's known me for years. When I complain to one of the judges, he's known me for years. And Azalea did really good, so I didn't complain to you much, admittedly.
Yeah, and again, we judged it on criteria. I try and be as impartial and unbiased as I can with it. I had 5 different judges. Was it 4 or 5?
It was 4.
It was 4, all right. So we had somebody from out of town who knows none of these comics, who has heard nothing, who has a completely different take on things. I had a bar regular at this establishment to represent the local people.
Yeah.
Right? I had a random chick come in.